How you doing? We're back. We have a fusion to do. Wow, that is low. Let's try this. There we go. So we got a fusion. We're going to be doing 5% carbon on all the sides and the rear. We're going to go all the way around. Geo's C2, 5%. We'll get set up here in a second. Have some coffee. How you been?
Tint stuff is now live.
That's what I forget. How do I do this again? That's how I do it. I didn't even have that window open. What the heck am I doing? J Werpy. Doing good. I've got a coffee. I've got a car. I've got a phone call. Hello, Tint Studio. How can I help you? Good. How are you? Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we could do that. I couldn't get it in today, but it would be $75 to do the one window. I could schedule it as early as Tuesday. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry I couldn't get it in today. I'm closed tomorrow. Mm-hmm. All right, have a good one. All right. What's up, guys? Braden, Tint Wiz, Fire, Jonathan. How you doing? It's always funny getting phone calls about people that want to bring it in like right now. I can't bring it in right now? How about if I bring it in right now? Right now? No. No. I got this right now. Hey! That's awesome. Yeah, man. Thanks for bringing it. Burner!
Burner_account super chatted $9.99. Matt is my hero. Have a good day.
Oh, that was really nice. Burner with a 10. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That was really nice of you. I need it. I need it now. Right now. There'll be a shop. He'll get it in somewhere. Just not here. All right, we got to set this up. Burner dropping 10 right at the beginning. Thanks for sending me my 5 rolls of Glass Aid and also the Tint Wiz cards and the Whistler, although the Whistler the Whistler scratched. Damn it. No, so the Whistler is the little chiseler. That was a super cool thing that they did. Yeah, we sent those out to everybody. How did I do this wrong? Did I do this wrong? Oh, no, probably not. Okay, we'll do that afterwards. Speaking of that, I should plug in this other battery. What I was gonna say about the Whistler, that is like just for little touch-ups and stuff. So hopefully you only used it for that, but sorry to hear that. I thought that was a really cool collab that they did. They like damn it. Did it get put away? Oh, here it is. Yeah, this was a super cool collab here. I ran out, though, so I don't have them anymore. They're already gone. But this was really, really cool. So if any of you have ever seen the little chiseler, I've talked about this before, but this is the Tint Whiz collab, the little Whistler. So what's actually really crazy is just... Oh, I don't want to... All right, we'll do it a little bit. Let's adjust the focus here. That's... Oh, God, everything just goes to hell. Look at that. Look at how cool that is. Manual focus. Let's put that back. So what's really cool is, like, it's actually embossed. So best I can tell, like, this is an injection molded tool right here, which means that they actually have to manufacture molds, and molds are expensive. So they went above and beyond and had their own molds made. But as far as I could tell, right? Like, that's what you would have to do to get something like that made. That's not cheap. We'll have more on the way to Matt this week. Well, there you go. Thank you. I appreciate that. I thought it was such a cool collab. Much like the triages over there, the reach. Something super cool that Tint Whiz has always done for quite a while now has been doing like these really unique tool collabs. They've done more than that, but they've done really cool tool collabs, and they generally just like, here you go. It's super nice. As Matt said, just for touch-up specs, wrap them in a paper towel because they are hard plastic, not soft rubber. Mm-hmm. Yep, so we don't talk a ton about doing like small touch-ups, mostly because when we have to do small touch-ups on stream, like this is an actual client vehicle. I don't like to point out. Anything that you should have to touch up would be relatively minor, but yeah, it's for little things. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's turn this back on. Where is it? Cam link? There we go. And okay, I see how it is. Let that find itself, and then we'll get going here. Oh, that was a thing. There we go. So we're going to do that. We're going to... Perfect. Now we should be good once I get the... Where's that other microphone piece? This one? Yes, this one. Plugged in that battery. And then, oh, I need to plug this one in. If there's a slight hum on the microphone, let me know so I can fix it. Right now, I don't know if there's going to be. There shouldn't, though. But I got to plug that one on the charger. And then... Oh, it got cleaned up because I have somebody cleaning things up now. Okay, we're going to set this on. We're going to get going here. We should just be ready to go. GoPro. When you do this back glass, can you explain how to shrink it? Oh, yeah, for sure. Good. Cool. Do we got audio? Audio, yes, we do. Finally succeeded tinting the rear window successfully on my 97 Honda Civic with Lexan Carbon. Really big help. /hack was wetting an H pattern with a towel. Yeah, a wet pattern is definitely helpful. It depends on what you're using. But something more that, yeah, there's little situations that you can run into is basically what I'm trying to say with that. So doing a wet line, either straight across or straight across and then up and down on the sides, yeah, that can definitely be a big help. A big problem a lot of people run into, cool, let's do that. Big problem a lot of people run into is they let the edges pop up. Oh, I gotta put this away. Hang on. We're gonna just put that right there. Okay, now I can grab my blades. You used to work at a tinted, work at a shop that tinted all the cop cars and stuff, sheriff's cars. When they put the lights on the back, the rear decks would sit against the glass, making the bottom really tight. Yeah, we would have a handful of those come in to like my dad's place. We would always have them remove the lights. Or they had weird rules on those things too. Well, I guess not really weird, but they would have stricter rules for all the cop lights where you couldn't cover them up. So some of the cops would just say, yeah, just tint half of the back window. All right, let's put this in. We got to tape this up. Just getting some blades set up, ready to go. We got a squeegee. We got some tools. We need a key. We can turn this on, roll everything down. I don't know why I didn't leave it all rolled down. All right. Turn that on. Got LASIK done 2 days ago. Greatest decision of my life. Oh, interesting. That's cool. Sounds like everything went well. Easy to remove the sweeps on that one. You know, it's also easy to tint without the sweeps removed. Yeah, my mom got it done back in the day, and it was a miserable process. They did it like one eye at a time, and there was like the eye would stay blurry for like a week, and it would water, and it was just, yeah, it definitely sounds like it's come a long way. I like my glasses, though. I don't know. I've gotten so accustomed to just always having them. It feels weird if I don't. But buying new ones, upping prescriptions every year, that's always fun. But you know what you do? You either buy them online or you get them in the Philippines. You can get them much cheaper in the Philippines. I could see perfect right after the surgery. That's cool, man. Plotter cutting quarter windows? Actually, maybe not. We are doing 5. I don't know. We'll get there. Generally, I would do the back glass along with the quarters. Somebody was asking about shrinking the back window, so that kind of just means we'll just get into all of it. 10 millimeter behind the handle, pull back, super easy. Good to know. Still not gonna do it. Most Fords have pretty standard side seals and bottom seals. One of the most forgiving side seals for sure. Bottom seals, depends. Most of them are pretty easygoing though. So like a good example of one I would definitely remove is typically like a Lexus. So somebody just posted a video in the Facebook group, by the way. Really helpful video. It was like on a Lexus SUV, which generally aren't the hardest of the Lexuses to tint, but I still really appreciated this video. There's a little plastic cover here, popped off, one screw, panel pops back, seal pulls out. Lexus are pretty notorious for swooping way down in the front. And then to tint things the way I do it, it's just a lot more annoying to do that. So if it's that easy, I weigh that scale. If it's that easy to remove a seal and that annoying to tint it without removing the seal, then I'll remove a seal all day long. But when it's easy to tint the car, but also easy to remove the seal, it doesn't make sense for me. I'll just leave it in. But I can appreciate it. I don't know how you top loaders get clean installs. You just learn how to finesse the film, really. Yeah, that is one of the cars I'll do bottom load. The funny part about it is, like, just because I pull the bottom seal doesn't even mean that I'll just drop the whole thing in. Nice. What slip solution do you use? Man, that is an ever-evolving thing. I don't even know at this point. We're running 3/4 7th gen and 1/4 Dawn. We've like flip-flopped and gone in a different direction right now. I tried using 100% 7th gen and it works pretty good. It's not quite where I'd like it, so I decided to spice it up with a little baby shampoo. I'm on a hunt. All right, let's roll these up. I try to sample a Fusion while it's slick at first. Minute after you squeegee, it tacks up too much. Yeah, it tacks up real fast. So you kind of like, you kind of get lucky with it, or just get used to it. I don't know. You get it to slide a little bit at first, and then even before you squeegee, the problem I have with certain slip solutions is the film will just pick a spot and grab the glass. So, I mean, I could tell pretty quickly compared to what I was using to all type. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people that just don't like it. There's obviously people that do, but Pro Classic, Pro Nano, those are two films that just grab fairly quickly, and you just need something to keep it a little bit loose. It's weird though. It's not necessarily like more soap cures all. It's like the right soap cures it. Because you can add a ton of baby shampoo or a ton of dish soap, and neither one of them really fixes it. It wasn't until we did like a 1/4 ounce of Dawn mixed in with some baby shampoo that I really found something that I could work with pretty well. We're gonna keep that there. I'm like 90% sure I have a box somewhere. Where did that box go? That's all carbon. So it's either here. No. Maybe this one. No, that's Pro Nano. All right. Hey! We'll open this one, and then that's when I'll find my other box.
Daniel Rayner super chatted $19.99.
Daniel Rayner.
Was up y'all. Kumus Master Matt.
What's up, yo? Daniel Rayner with a 20. Thank you, sir. Kumastapo. Thank you so much. Or I should say, salamat po. I think J&J gives a slip and the Dawn helps it get the tack personally. I don't know. It's tough to say because, like, when I was just using Dawn, the whole thing would just tack really quickly. When I was using just baby shampoo, I could still get that same tack. But when I mixed the two together, that's when you got, like, a unique slip there. And then Gio came out and dashed all my hopes and dreams and said, don't use it. It's got lots of surfactants. And then I looked up what a surfactant is, and it turns out all soaps have them. I gotta go become a chemist. Correct. Ugh. I've grown to like All-Type. My mixture is 2.5 ounces and 4 gallons. So I look at it a little differently. Like, I think if you can get used to it and you can like it, that's a good thing. I think for most people, what's going to happen is they're going to try and use it, and then they're going to just go back to what already works, because there's a few barriers there that make it even more frustrating. Like, if the solution that I use, I can go buy conveniently at a store, and I like it, I'm gonna do that far over ordering anything off of a website. Because most people are also gonna wait until they're at the end. Or like, oh shoot, I forgot to order it, I gotta order more. Check them. Check the label to make sure it's not a mix-up. Actually, I should. I grabbed it off the shelf, but I thought it was carbon. Now you guys are confusing me. No, this is carbon. Yeah, this is C2-5. Scaring me for a second. No, C2 looks really good. But yeah, as for the slip solution, it's like, so they're sending, Geo's being really nice, and they're sending samples. Everybody that's ordering, like I think it's like the Apex and the Carbon Plus, I think they're sending Fusion All-Type samples out with that. They're trying to solve a different problem. I don't think they had a good solution though, but I don't like the solution that's there. I don't like any of the solutions that's there. So I just, like most films, like most films should do, I think it should be relatively straightforward to slide it in place and then just tack it down. If it slides longer, I don't have much of a problem with that. The problem, like, you can always back off of your soap to fix that issue. The issue is just, hey, if I can't get my film slid in place, like, I can't tell you how many people just won't deal with that. And how many people then don't understand, like, oh, I don't understand why I'm having these problems. Like, I saw it at the class. We were messing around with, like, some different soaps and stuff like that, and it's just like, no, you hand that to a new person, there's no way. It's so frustrating. It's difficult enough to learn as it is, so the slip solution shouldn't be an issue. It's annoying that we're this far into things and now it's another issue. We'll get it fixed though. I got a 2005 F350 tomorrow, getting C25 with a full shield, regular cab, 35. Oh, 35 shield, nice. Yeah, if you had to pick between the two, rather post-heat it a little bit. Yeah, exactly. But it only ever does that if you have like too much soap. That's the only time you're gonna ever run into that. So an easy fix for that is just backing off of your soap. But when you feel like you have to put so much soap into your bottle just to get it to slide a little bit, that's when it's like, no. We need to make it a little bit more user-friendly than that. So if you go back to like my original streams using Geo, like it was a thing that took us a little while to fix. It's still a fine solution. I think it's safe to use, but it's just annoying to hear that I can't recommend it anymore. So, because it's supposedly sketchy. Anyways, is Matico the best film for easy shrinking crazy curves? I don't know. I've actually never used Matico. They're one of those companies that I've like heard of, but I've never used. So I don't know much about them. I think there's a lot of films nowadays that are pretty easy to shrink over very rounded edges and stuff. A lot of films are way more user-friendly than they used to be. But it's still like, you know, if you're newer to tinting, so you're gonna hear me say that and go like, oh, I gotta use that film, it's easy to shrink. And then you're gonna try and shrink it and you're still gonna screw it up. Like, learning to shrink is still a difficult thing no matter how easy you make the film. You gotta look for the right things. And then you can do it. Yeah, things have been slow around here too. I mean, I had a few people that wanted to schedule that I could have scheduled, and they're like, oh, I'll be out of town. Looking to schedule out a little farther. I was like, oh, okay, no problem. So right now, back to school, and holiday weekend vacations, that kind of stuff is going on right now, mixed in with recession. So, yeah, it's gonna be an interesting rest of the year, that's for sure. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm still gonna keep doing what I do. But I don't think there's any way around it. Just, you know, it's just slower for people now. That's just how it's gonna be for a time. I mean, we went back to look at getting a minivan. So like we closed on the house and everything, then we looked at getting our van back, and now interest rates are what? Probably like 2 to 3% over where we initially bought it at before, so we can't get it at the same price that we got it before. And that's kind of like, oh, maybe we'll wait a little while. So I'm sure that's happening with a lot of people. You know, money gets tighter, interest rates go up, everything gets more expensive because of it, and then people buy less than going back to school. So, I don't know, there's a lot of ways that I can at least, justify it being slow. We're dealing with world problems. How's the weather up there nowadays? Still a scorcher down in Florida? It's still warm here. It's actually really nice. It'll stay warm through probably about mid to like end of September, and that's usually when weather really starts bouncing up and down. September, then October, like last October, I think Halloween, we had a snowstorm on Halloween. Old man. What's up, man? Just signed on with Expel XR Plus. Shrinks like butter. Nice, that's cool. All right, so on these windows here, they're tapered. So I'm mentioning this because I saw it always throw people off in the class. First time you go to hand cut things, this is your bottom edge. These are your sides, obviously. So what do you do about this edge right here? So what we did was we cut the bottom, we line it up, we drag the film over, and then we come back to this edge, and all I have to work with is this little guy right here. So I'm gonna cut my left side right from here to here, because it starts like curving up and doing some weirdness. I'm gonna put a little cut right here. I'm going to slide this back over. So on the front door, we'll drag that down. On the front door, you have this side, and then you have this side right here. It's much more defined, and then one curved top edge there. On this, look at this whole beveled spot, like your top edge. Tack that in place. Roll this down. And then you're gonna cut from one side. Like it's really difficult to try and round that little curve right there. So what I'm gonna do is start here, go up, run into that corner there, and then I'm gonna go on the other side here and go in the opposite direction, and then meet at that corner. Just like that. And then you got a nice sharp point there. You'll round that off, and then you got your window all cut out. Looking to pick up Geocarbon Plus ceramic from your site. Any advice or tips on buying it? I don't know, 3624s. I don't stock I haven't brought it in personally. I'm a little familiar with it though, or I'm pretty familiar with it. It's a good film. It's not going to block out quite as much heat as Pro Nano, but it looks nice, shrinks nice. Pretty good film. And then we're going to finish off these lines. Let's round this off a little bit more. That looks better. That looks straighter with that. Looked like it was curving out a little bit. All right, let's do this one. And we got this other edge. Honored to finally be able to catch a live stream. Welcome. I had my 21 Silverado tinted about 8 months ago on the front windows, and there are vertical line scratches. Has anybody else had this problem? Do you live down a dirt road by chance? So unfortunately, the vertical scratches are going to be from sand and dirt stuck in the bottom seal, and as your window rolls up and down, it scrapes across it. I've never had anybody come back with a newer truck like that. It was only a handful of windows that really did it, and they would put scratches in the glass. But it was like, we're talking about going back to like 2010. So the only things on that like, one, a good film with a good scratch coat should be able to hold up against just general wear and tear, or two, there's just a fair amount of dirt that's building up in those seals. So that's why I asked, like, do you live down a dirt road or drive down dirt roads pretty regularly? Because that would cause a lot of grit to build up in your seals. Because 8 months is not a long time for that to happen. That sucks. All right, squeegee that out. Let's snap these in the desert. So yes, yeah, that's exactly what's happening then. You're gonna regularly have to clean out your seals. So as you drive, like you said, in the desert, lots of sand is finding its way, just burying itself in your seal. And then that builds up over time. Every time you roll up and down that window, it's just catching in there, and it's sandpaper, and it's just gonna wear at your glass, it's gonna wear at the tint. It's gonna be pretty brutal. So you're regularly gonna have to basically just take an air gun, blow it out, or take a spray bottle, pull that seal back, and just kind of rinse it out. Hopefully it didn't wear its way into the glass yet, but there's a good chance that it definitely will. On Subarus, my robot voice said it really funny. Subarus with eyesight systems, I would just leave it up to the client. You can only tint them so dark, but you're messing with a system where a company really cares about their eyesight system. So I've heard lots of different things. The summary of it is, if you go past a certain percentage, like that's generally like I'd say probably below like 50% and below, you're really, who knows how consistent the eyesight system is going to work. But the darker you go on that, it's like a visual system, so the cameras are meticulously calibrated, and it's a very touchy system, and it's got to look through that glass. So Subaru says don't even put Rain-X on the glass, like just straight up. So a bunch of tinters will hear that and go, it's fine. So they're always pushing limits. And general consensus that I've at least heard from comments, not tried myself, is that a lighter film is generally going to be fine. It's not going to mess with the system. You'll be okay. And that, to me, it makes sense. But you're not going to put like a limo windshield strip over it and be 100% fine. I would just leave it up to the client. Don't just pull it in and do it. And I would do that anytime I'm covering up any type of camera system. Like, hey, if I do this, your system might not work. It's just like any aftermarket thing. You know, sometimes there's compromises there. Okay, let's get to installing. Could you cut around the housing? Yeah, technically, I've seen it, but the thing is, I'd imagine it's kind of like a fisheye type of thing. So, like, I can't tell you exactly what you can and can't do. It's kind of up to you to figure out what's okay, but then you also should drive with it yourself to find out if it is. That system, you see that little, on this mirror, you see that little taper there, how it does this? Cameras and light, it always does this. It goes out in like a band. So those lenses are not just going to be like fixed telescopes going through. So whatever it is here, it's going to have to then be wider out here, and you don't know exactly how wide that field of vision is. It might be mostly okay, and then just cut off the edges. It might screw with the system. I don't know. We're still really new in self-driving systems and all those assistants. So you can try it. I wouldn't recommend it because there's people that depend on those systems if they use them. And then if it doesn't function properly, yike. How's the house ownership? Oh, dude. It never ends, right? It's cool. We're really happy. And then we're doing house things. So there's a paver company literally in the same industrial complex as I am. We didn't even really know how close that they were. Super nice people. That was actually the live stream I did last, was the Tesla, the owner of that company. Really, really nice people. We're finding out how expensive some things are to do for the house right now. And we just had our first mortgage payment. So that was, oh boy. Like, it's all good, but it's like, dang, we gotta pay the mortgage now. I'd hear that all the time. Gotta cover the mortgage. That's what we're doing. What year was the house built? It was built this year. Yeah, we were looking around and looking around and looking around, and everything is already expensive and gone. So I never thought that we'd jump into some sort of a new home build. But what I can tell you is when you when you go into one of those places, it's very much like a new car dealership. When you're like kind of ready to buy, oh, they're on it. So, few things about getting an older house, like which is what I thought we would do, and we would have been perfectly fine with it. Renovations, like everything that we found on the market was already expensive and needed additional renovations. So you're putting X amount of dollars on the mortgage, and then you also have to finance at the same time out of pocket all the little changes and stuff that you want to do. Or you can do it over time, but you know how it goes. So at the end of the day, when you break it all down, it's like, yeah, we're paying more on getting a new home build, but we're also getting everything done the first time how we want it. And then hopefully we never have to touch it again. And then also everything's covered under warranties and stuff like that. So for a time, if there's problems with it, it's all covered. It's not like you buy a new house, the water heater goes, and then you're paying out of pocket to fix it. Like, it's warranty, it's new. So that part of it's really cool. We did a backsplash, though. We did it ourselves. That took us 3 days. We're pretty proud of it. It's not perfect, but it looks damn good. All right, let's get this tucked in. Nice. So this is C2, and then this is with the change soap. It's still, like C2's more forgiving. C2 will slide around longer, and it's okay. I think we're gonna keep looking. That'll do the job for today, but we'll keep looking probably. Nice top edge though. 2 years and almost 30K later, I finished what I started, sold it, and broke a little over even. Not again. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm expecting everything to fall off right now. The only silver lining is, like, we started a little bit before everything kept going up, so we got a little runway there. We're not as bad off as, like, some of the other people that... So, like, as the neighborhood started to fill up, house prices still continued to go up. Interest rates went up. Everything was getting more and more expensive. So, like, there were quite a few little things that we managed to get at a cheaper price at the time than other people in the neighborhood got. And I'm sure there's people that got stuff before we did too. So all in all, we're really happy. It costs money, and that's just how it is. Good. Roll this up. Rinse that out. Tuck this in. See, this is the thing about the Fusion. This is the amount of time that I'm going to spend tucking this one. Oh, you know what? You know what I just noticed? I probably didn't run my soap all the way through, because this is the fan tip. This always takes longer. So, hang on. Hold that thought. Hold that thought about soap. Still running okay from where we were before, so that's good. And now we're getting fresh. If that makes sense. There's always, when owning a house, there's always something to do. Yep, that's what it seems like. It's extra fun when you are looking for things to do too. But yeah, it definitely seems like never ending. We did a lot. We did a lot in the first month. Obviously with just generally moving and setting things up, and then we did a backsplash. We hung up, I hung up all the curtains, which might sound like a insignificant thing until you realize how many windows you actually have. And then you're trying to line everything up with a stud in the wall because you're like, no, this is gonna last forever. So I'm trying to find studs in the wall, make sure everything's perfectly straight, all evenly spaced, and getting that bracket perfectly centered. I'm pretty decent at it now. Ever thought about trying true spray systems, or are you content with your air compressed tanks? I've said if somebody wants to send one out, I'd be more than happy to try it. I don't see the appeal, but I understand people. There's like people that really, really like them. I've never had a problem with an air compressor, so that's why I really don't understand. Like, part of being mobile was really just, I don't want things to fail, and if they do, I'll be in a pinch. So most places I would go were other shops, and every once in a long while, they had a problem with their air compressor, so I just always had a little tire air compressor that was more than adequate that I'd carry around with me. Fits in my toolbox. It's not attached to the box. So I don't know. I really like that whole setup. Also, it's like just air pressure, so it's as quiet as can be. So this is just, take it at face value, like I haven't used them, but adding another thing into the mix, like you don't, at that point, like the one reason I have a keg is because that needs to be under pressure. So I guess with like a true spray system, you don't even need a keg, right? You just toss it in a bucket of water if you want. As long as you have your slip ratio down. Oh, okay, I can see that. Yeah, if you just need to open it up, add more soap, run some more water through, yeah, it's quicker to do that. For me, I have to empty the pressure and then refill it up and adjust it. So yeah, it would take longer. But so I guess that's a good point. Because I've been tinning for a little bit now. So whatever soap that I put in my tank is, I'm set with it. I'm never readjusting it. So yeah, if you need to make adjustments on the fly, it's going to be a quicker system to do it. Like I said, I was genuinely surprised. We all have our personal preferences. It's something that I caught wind of relatively early on, like Tint Depot has one, and they're like, hey, would you be interested in this? And I said, not really. Oops. Sorry. Because they've been selling a system for a while now. I genuinely wasn't super interested in it. All right, don't move. Stay put. Thank you. This is the most annoying part about the whole fusion here. Talk about removing. And he asked me, he was like, is this difficult to do? No, and it's still not. It's just tedious to cut. That's all. But once you get the cuts right, everything should go spot on into place. So hopefully we got that. When you have to slow down that much and just get those little itty bitty cuts. Cool, cool, cool. Let me round these out. We might not be perfect on that. We'll find out. See, that's where I'll take a plotter cut on that one. If you didn't tint, what other jobs would you be interested in? I was trying to figure that out for a long time, even while I was tinting. So when I first started tinting, I wasn't going to be a tinter. Like, we would make jokes about it. Like, the guys at the shop that I work with, they were like, remote start installers. They were accessory installers. And they were like, so you're going to be a window tinter for the rest of your life. And I was like, whatever. So at the time I was going into aviation mechanics school. Like, so I started window tinting. It was a job, and it was a way to make money while I was going to school. It'd be a 007 agent. But then I got into window tinting. Your name fits. So yeah, I wasn't planning on being a tinter. So if anything, it was like, at the time it was aviation mechanics. I was interested in like computer stuff, obviously. I'm a big tech geek. But just like anything, everything gets tedious. And so I was trying to figure out like what about the tech space would I find interesting. So there's this one guy, he ended up going to work for Apple. He was like a super Apple nerd, along with being a programmer. So like he went to school for like web design, and then programming, and then he started going to school, like he applied, got a job as Apple tech support, which was really cool because he got to then work from home, work 4 days a week instead of 6 days a week, and get paid more, and get free Apple stuff. So like part of working for Apple, especially as their tech support, they just send you like the PC of your choice, and also like an iPhone, and I think a couple other small things too. And he was just like, dude, I already would buy this shit. This is the best ever. But he got me interested in a field called like ethical hacking, and it's like basically systems breaking for companies. So basically you like get contracted into these big companies, and you put all their systems to the test, and you try to find vulnerabilities in them. I thought that space sounded really, really cool. As far as trying to get consistent work, that's where it's dicey, because it's always like, you know, they don't necessarily hire one person to be full-time to break their systems. They're hiring from time to time. So it's like, I don't know exactly how you get jobs, but it definitely sounded cool. It's probably more networking than anything, so I'm not always the best at. Something like that sounded pretty cool. But no matter what, anything that I do, I think is going to get tedious. I think that's just the nature of the job. So one thing that I learned much later on is having a fair amount of balance. So it's like, if you're tinting a lot, like break it up with something else. So for me, that was the channel, videos, the whole community side of it. Like that was what was really exciting. So I've gone really hard in supporting that, and it gives enough of a, like, tinting is still like fun and entertaining for me because I get to do it in a variety of different ways. I run the classes, we do these live streams, do videos, and then after I do all that, then every once in a while it's like, I just want to tint a car, put on some music, and just enjoy tinting a car. And that's really relaxing for me now. So it's nice. But if I was only doing that, I'd be itching to like add to it. So I really like everything that I have going on right now with it. Is YouTube not networking? I'd say you're pretty good at networking. I mean, I'm kind of good at growing a channel and everything. I think where I don't know, I feel like I'm not that great at networking. Especially like with all the event stuff. Maybe it's that. Because I can't go to it either. Elon Musk, I think, is paying and encouraging people to find faults in systems. Oh, I could imagine. Yeah, and generally, companies will have bounties and rewards. Like if you do find a vulnerability, then they'll pay the person to, you know, like, hey, like, can you tell us about it? Well, like, they offer up rewards because it's company breaking when they have an issue. Super chat. Tint Whiz.
Super chatted $19.99.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That was super, super nice. It's good to have you guys here. You are incredibly great at networking. Maybe not in the way that I think. I don't know. It's hard for me to explain. You don't do it the traditional way, but your networking skills affect many more than traditional. That's a good way to describe it. Thank you. Yeah, it's not the traditional networking. I guess I'm not great with personal connections, or a lot of them. I don't know. But it is very much in a different way. It's community building, it's channel building. It's more like analytical and nerdy. But I always try and have a realistic, like, expectation about it, or just not expectation, but like have a realistic, I'm trying to think of a word for it. You know, like, I know when something's drowning on and being boring versus when something's fun and entertaining. So I just have a different way of looking at things. But thank you. It's different, but networking, you have no question you're a master at it. I think because you're a natural doing it, it doesn't feel like networking. Okay. That could be. Thank you. I always feel like a weirdo with all of this. I do about 2 to 3 cars a week. Is it worth it buying a keg? Yes and no. You're going to use it on every car, but it's not going to, like, majorly speed you up. It just is a really nice thing to have. I like it a lot. I'll never go back. But yeah, if you let your water sit in there, you do have to, like, scrub it out and stuff like that. Right now we're on 7th gen with baby shampoo. I sound like a crazy person. So I'm still messing around with the soap. I can tell you when there's dish soaps in there, they tend to not leave residue behind, but the baby shampoos definitely do. Like, not near as much. So I had my keg sitting with soap for like a couple of days, and I checked the walls and it was fine. But I always just spray it out. I have like that garden hose set up over there. I just take it, I blast it out. I'll sometimes scrub it. There isn't a lot in cleaning. I don't like take it apart and scrub out the dip tube and all that stuff. And then it's fine. Tint Whiz, send me easy reaches, please. They're the tri-edges, not easy reaches, but they are awesome. I'm just tired of bottles breaking on me. Pressure alone cracks them. Any downside to the keg? Oh, then yeah, get a keg, man. The downside to the keg is just the size and the weight, which isn't much of a downside. So if you're mobile tinting, it's another thing to carry around. But yeah, for the longest time, I used the Poly 2s. And yeah, we'd wear those suckers out. The keg is Like, oh my God, it doesn't wear out, man. After 4 years of consistent abuse, little brass end inside of my sprayer broke. And that was after like 4 or 5, I'm just guessing. I think it was like at least 5 years of using that sprayer. Really, really good. But I'd say get the right stuff for the keg too. Some people like the plastic sprayers. The plastic sprayers will still break. They're plastic. I've had them fail in a number of different ways. And I generally wouldn't have 2 plastic sprayers on hand. So when that broke, I would seriously be in trouble for the day. Then I'm trying to find like a spray bottle, and it's like, ugh, that's really slowing me down. That's really slowing me down when I have a lot of work to do. That's where it would be a big problem. If I'm just doing like a car or 2, it's not as big of a deal. But no, I switched to a R2-D2 looking keg as soon as I pretty much saw them. Like I saw them in the catalog and I was like, ooh, a little expensive for a sprayer. And then I looked at all the Poly 2s we kept breaking and I'm like, yep, I'm gonna get one. I was a pretty early adopter of them. Is that tape on top of the cover? No, it's actually below it. So I'll tape these side seals. So what I do is, these have felt seals, but I just do it on every seal now, because why not? This is really good, thin, sticky tape. Pull that out of the seals, and then, so this is on top of the tape. It's not a perfect seal, but it does keep most of the water, especially from running down on these fabric areas where it's gonna soak up the water and just leave everything wet. I'm using sticky plastic, and my idea with it was just stick it to the door panel itself. But door panels, they don't like anything sticking to them, so they're actually really good at repelling lots of stickiness. So that tape will stick, and then I just put the carpet shield on top of it, and it grabs onto the top of that plastic. It's a quick way to cover up a door panel. I've said from like day one, this isn't the most economical way of covering up panels. I would like somebody to figure out something better, and everybody's just like, what are you using? It just keeps going. It's a quick, easy solution, but you go through a lot of plastic. And you also, like, it's not great for mobile either, so you actually have to have a place to, like, peel the plastic from. When you're doing a window, when doing a door window, what's the best way to prevent fingers popping up at the bottom? To shrink it right the first time. We actually had this problem a little bit at the class. So I went back to my old way of shrinking to show people initially. It's a much easier, more straightforward way to shrink a door window. But as far as I can tell, this is where double snapping comes from. If you go back in the video, you see I just pick up the tint, I heat up the bottom, it creates this little bow in the film, it like tightens it up, and it snaps down to the window. Another way that people do it is they'll take their film, they'll spray the window, they'll lay it back down, and then they'll spray it, and then they'll squeegee everything, and then they'll see what pops up on the bottom, and then they'll shrink those fingers. Well, the next little step to doing that is you pick it back up, and then you lock down this side, and you lock down this side, and you just go over it with a heat gun again. People call that a double snap. And it's a good way of doing that same thing, tightening up that area so fingers don't show up. So you are shrinking it, but you just got to shrink it more. And it's hard to explain how much you have to shrink it when you then don't see the fingers. See, my water. I should have just, it'll start getting more soapy in a second. There it is. Dun, dun. Random question. Do you think if you were to say double tint in the window, 2 layers of ceramic, would it reject any amount of heat than the normal single layer, if that makes sense? Burner account says over 50% of the heat field comes from light, so by blocking more light, of course the IR properties will block more, but it becomes negligible at some point. Yep, I agree with that. It will like block more heat. So when you're sitting in the car and you feel stuff coming through, putting another layer of ceramic is definitely going to help cut it down more. But doing another layer of ceramic is, yeah, it's like there's still some that's going to get through. 50% of it comes from the visible light. Another 50% comes from the IR. So like as a whole, the more ceramic that you put on it, the more comfortable it's going to be. But diminishing returns, it's only going to be so effective. And you say like 50% visible light. So like when you're doing 20%, you're knocking out 80% of the visible light. And then there's the IR spectrum that you're knocking out. And it's just, whatever you feel your ceramic do, yeah. If you put another layer, it'll do more. But the whole way it works is it absorbs it into the glass, so the vehicle can still get hot, but what you feel coming through the glass is what it takes care of. I have 2 blades here. Why do I have 2? I should probably only have 1. It starts getting scary. I'm gonna cut myself. There we go. See that? That soap, that's fresh. I think I forgot to just empty my lines out. So now let me, now we can be pretty objective. So this is 1/4 Dawn and 3/4. That was a good comment. I sat on a razor blade and barely cut my butt cheek. I can happily say I've never done that one, but I have cut myself a number of ways with blades accidentally. More so with the tint. Tint cuts are the worst. Little paper cuts. One guy at the class. Whatever you do, don't just put your hands over it and start doing this. Especially if your tint is overlapping the top edge, you'll definitely put a cut. He like put 1, 2, and the next thing you know, he's like, oh, I just put a cut in 3 fingers. It is funny. All right, let's see how this slides. So I don't need this to like slip and slide all over the glass, but I just need it to be very workable. Just like slide enough so I don't have to feel like I'm fighting with it. That was nice. That seemed pretty good. Now let me use it for a couple of weeks and then we'll really see. Ooh, and it's still going. Ooh, I like that. Look at that. It's still sliding. Oh, now it's starting to grab a little bit. That's fine. Cool. Yeah, the big problem is when you get it on the glass, you slide it about a 1/2 inch, and then it starts to just tack. It's like, it's just too quick. Just give me a little more time. Cool. Should be good. Get that in place. Pull this up. Pull this down. Scoop, 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 scoop. Tuck this in. So, little tuck there. Little tuck here. Pull this up. And then drop the whole thing. And there we go. That is very sudsy. Have you ever used the black? The black what now? Hey, Uncle Matt. The black scrape right blades. No, I've never heard of them. Are they like razor blades? You know what I want? I want a 2-inch or 3-inch single edge razor blade. Somebody find me one of those. They don't exist. I'm so tired of trying to prep a windshield with something that's this wide. And I've seen the Triumph blades. I think that's a cool way to do it. I just want something kind of in between. Give me a razor blade, single edge razor blade that's just a little wider. That would be great. There we go. Let's wipe this down. So tape pulls out of the seal. There's one. Little guy over here. Choop. Oh, it tore. That's why we don't like Tyvek as much. Crown Vic. Ooh, yeah, Crown Vics aren't fun. Crown Vic is actually worth pulling the seals on, believe it or not. So you can pull the door panels back. You don't have to remove any bolts. I'll show you the tool that I use to help remove those seals because they're pretty deep. But Crown Vics have seals that stick up really high on the inside. So like the inside seal is going to be like opposite. It's going to be like up here. And then the outside seal is going to be like down here. And those windows, like the whole Crown Vic is a bubble. Watching your tint streams is therapeutic. Thank you. Or was it Lucky? Old Crown Vic or Old Town Car? They're going to be in the same league. How about a Marauder? See, the years would always blend together with those. So it's like we would get Marauders, Crown Vics, Town Cars, and I just hated them all. Same thing with old Tauruses. It's just whenever you have that name on the schedule, ugh, it's just bad. Bad day. Because they're not even like taken care of, and you're not making much money on those cars either, which is why when I, moved here or just worked for places charging more, they all but disappeared. I just would never, hardly ever see them anymore. Where charging like $150, I would see a lot of those, Grand Prix, Impalas, Camrys, which aren't bad. What else? 300s. There's a lot of that. A lot of cars, very dirty, not taken care of, cheap prices, cheap jobs, picky people, not fun. Okay, let's put this on. There's gonna be one more. Oh yeah, where's that tool? I'll see if I can find it. No promises, but I should be able to find it. Oh yeah, this one. This guy right here. Whatever this is, It doesn't have a name. I got it off a Snap-on truck. There's the patent number. This hook tool, though, so on like a Crown Vic, what you do is you pop the panel back, and then you put this all the way down, and you hook the seal, and it yanks it out. Makes those way easier to do. Like I said, if it's annoyingly difficult to tint and pulling the seal makes it substantially easier, oh yeah, all day long. I'm a body tech looking to start my own tint, wrap, and PPF company. Any tips? That is a lot of different services there. What do you do right now? Like, you do collision stuff? Each one of those skills is its own service. Pick which one you want to do the most and work on that one first, and then slowly expand to the other ones. Body tech. That sounds cool. That sounds cool. Like detailing. That sounds cool. You know, when I was in high school and my dad said, like, oh, you can come to the shop and detail, I was like, oh, that sounds cool. I don't know what that is. I'm going to find out what detailing is. And then it's a fancy way of saying car cleaning. I was like, oh. We're just tinners, man. Maybe we should be auto glass window film technicians. Yeah, okay, it is collision. I was just making sure. Now I have 3 razor blades. What am I doing? Yeah, start with the one that, like, if you don't know how to do any of them yet. I mean, starting the business sounds all fun, and then you'll get a rude awakening with how difficult each one of the services are. Vinyl's going to be the easiest one to do out of the 3, but there's ins and outs with all of them. Like, vinyl's, I think, the easiest thing to do, but it is still a skill set that takes time and patience to master. And your material cost is generally much higher with something like that. Window tint, your cost of materials is going to be lower. But you don't make as much money per job, so you have to just become efficient at doing it, and it's really tedious learning how to become a tinner. Paint protection film, like, in a way, it's the most difficult, but not, like, so it's harder than vinyl, but it's similar to vinyl. Like, there's stretching. It's like combining window tint and vinyl wrapping together. So it's a wet application. You have to be meticulous about cleanliness with something that has had infinite exposure to the road. So a car with like 1,000 miles is already old for paint protection film. It's got pits all over the front that need to be filled. It's been dinged up, scratched. And dirt likes to build up in all the little cracks and stuff like that. So I think that's why a lot of people just get into mobile detailing, because it's like, I can clean something more. Oops. I touched the lock button. My bad. Okay, there's a little grab there. Again, this is with C2. Yeah, that's still not bad. I don't know what it is. It always picks one little spot, and then it grabs, and then the rest of it will slide free. Once you get it past that one first little grab, everything's much easier. That's cool, though. This is working out pretty nice. I'm going to use this again. Stay away from my lock button. Fancy word for tinter, auto, glass, translucent. I missed the rest of it. Glass technician. Professional sticker applicator. Like, even a coffee server is a barista. I'm just saying, we're overlooked. Wow. I don't think I've seen this many bubbles in a while. That's soap bubbles, not tint bubbles. So I just kind of guessed. I did like 1/4 to 3/4 of an ounce of baby shampoo, and then I did the 7th gen. That works pretty good. There's that. Swipey swipe. One more time. What was I going to say about the glass? What new soap are you trying? It's called 7th gen. It's been recommended by Best Deal Window Tint and also the Film Trainer. I'll show you a bottle. I don't know how much safer than Dawn it is, but it's definitely like made with much less chemicals and stuff, so it should be fine. Shouldn't slide over for the doors when I'm cutting. No, you should a little bit. Where people get hung up is they go too far over and they pull the film too deep into the seal. So when you're cutting out your pattern, if you drag it all the way to over here, yeah, you're covering up all your edges, but you're going way deep into the seal. You don't need to go that far. As just an average, I'll go about like halfway in this line. I'll go usually about this far over on each side. Now, depending on how tight that seal is, it's going to bind up the farther I go into that seal. So if I only go like this far over, just slightly over my edges, it's way easier to install it that way. Same thing for the bottom. If I pull it all the way down here, that's a lot. I'll usually drag it down to like the edge of where this rubber is or where the ledge kind of starts to drop off. So I'll drag it down probably about a 1/2 inch. I don't go very far down into the seal. You don't really have to. Because what'll happen is you'll struggle and struggle trying to tuck it in, and then you're just gonna crease and crunch the film up in a spot, and then it's gonna peel anyways. It's much better just to have a shorter bottom edge and have it much cleaner than go really, really far down into it if you had to pick between those two. 1/2 inch to 1 inch is like pretty acceptable. Saying you tint windows is pretty gangster, honestly. Maybe because I've been in it forever. I just want a cooler name. People don't care though. I'm not a car cleaner. I'm a detailer. I'm not a tinter. I'm a window technician, but then it sounds like I replaced the glass. I don't know. I'm not a coffee server. I'm a barista. I'm not a coffee maker. Solar control glass artist. Here, let me get that light. I should have one on the other side. Should probably cut this one. Should be a little easier for me to cut on this side because I'm right-handed. So getting started in that lower corner is easier than left-handed. Just round this out. All right. Come on, come on, come on. There we go. Oh yeah, I was gonna grab another razor blade and then I realized I have 50 over here. So if a quarter window gives you a little ceramic border, it's so much easier. Because then it's just getting your cuts down. So in the case of the Fusion, it's really hard to show this, but they're very small, but there is a little border around the entire thing. So as long as you keep your edges pretty tight, you have more than enough room to tuck everything nice and clean. Where like the, I don't know, like a Civic, they do gasket style quarters and they're way more annoying. See, this all I have to do is drop in, line up. I agree with that. The people that, there we go. The people that trying to line this up. I might have tried to line this up too perfectly. There we go. I'll get over there, just let me finish what I'm doing. Yeah, the glass people that put the dot matrix inside the laminate are the unsung heroes. I agree very heavily with that. That makes our work look way better. Just a cleaner way of doing it. Damn it. Yeah, some do it, and then you have companies like Toyota that just go wild. Actually, Honda too. They did like a mirror mount. GoPro. That was weird. Especially with Honda. So like, we did one of the students' cars at the class, and he had the mirror mount. They had a dot matrix border, a mirror mount right in the center, and then they had the whole like ADAS system and stuff. Like it was really goofy the way that they designed it. I would like to speak to that person and just go, why? Why? It doesn't look good. Why you do this? Is it really on the other side? Is that where it is? Ugh, I walked right past it. Yeah, this little guy. Yeah, I need to get some more rubbing alcohol. I've been cleaning all my jobs up with like water and rubbing alcohol, and it's been just amazing. It's just streak free, really fast. Everything dries, and it looks good. It's been better than the glass cleaner that I really liked. Okay, the soap bottle. So this stuff here, I'll point out the difference. I didn't even notice, so just keep this in mind. Like they sell ones with scents and ones without. I haven't used the one with a scent, but whenever you add scents, that's extra chemicals and stuff added to it to create that scent. This one's free and clear. This is a refill bottle. They have bottles that look like regular dish soap bottles. This is the soap that I'm trying right now that was recommended to me. So I picked up these bottles. I didn't even notice because of the scent things in really small letters, so I accidentally got 2 bottles of that. But this is the stuff that I had in my tank right now. So I had basically almost 3 ounces of this stuff with like 1/2 ounce to 3/4 ounce of baby shampoo. So we like flip-flopped. Because I've tried just using that as is. The hippie soap, yes. So the hippie soap has been, like, just by itself, has been pretty damn good, but not quite where I want it. So then I backed up just with today, added a little baby shampoo. Seems to be working really well. But this is the first car that I've tried it on. Every car is going to be different. And this is also with C2. I love me, my Alt-Type. I don't know, I just use Alt-Type and I love it. I wish I could get behind it like that. I don't know what it is. Every time I try it, it's decent, but it's only about, it's just not quite there. It starts to tack up really quick, and then I have to fight with it, and then I add more, and then it's like my hands will slide over the film, and I still try and get it into place and everything, and then it still tacks up the same. Explain that one. Any suggestions for a keg setup? I'm going to try and build one myself. I'm hoping any recommendations to get it done right the first time. I don't have a parts list or anything. If you ask in the Facebook group, there'll be a lot of people that will definitely can link you stuff and whatnot. Oh, and somebody asked earlier about what to buy because there's a few different hose options and stuff. You don't need the wider hose. So the Tint keg setup is awesome as it is. I think the only, there'll be an option for, if you want an extra inline water filter, you can do that if you want. I don't have those. You can have a 2-hose setup, which is pretty awesome. And then you have 1 hose on one side, 1 hose on the other. I prefer the 3-gallon size. So if you're tinting a lot of cars in a day, a 5-gallon, some people prefer just that extra water there. I had a 5-gallon. I went back to the 3-gallon. I used to do lots of mobile tinting. 3-gallon's kind of the perfect size to carry around. It'll get you through almost a full day. And yeah, as far as the hose sizes go, though, the smaller one, I think that it's a 1/4-inch hose. Because one thing that you're not really going to think about until you have it is the weight. So you have the weight of like the brass sprayer, which by itself feels heavy, but then you counterbalance it with all the water that's hanging off of the back of the hose. And like you're not spraying very much water out at a time, even at the highest setting with a lot of pressure. So you don't need a thicker hose. It'll just be a lot more weight that you're carrying behind it. So I would go with just a thinner one. Makes more sense, it's a little more portable. You don't need extra flow because you're not using it. If you have to build it yourself to feel accomplished, to order the parts and put them together with a lifetime warranty is the way, in my opinion. Don't build one, buy one. Yeah, I mean, I'd rather just buy it. Kind of like building a PC. I kind of feel the same way. I'll buy new parts and I'll do it that way. There's actually quite a few little things. So if you can get them all right the first go around, then you'll definitely save some money and some hassle. But I like what Sun Distributing does to all the kegs. So one thing to keep in mind is they actually upgrade all the O-rings because when you buy a stock keg as it is, it's not made to handle 75 to 100 PSI worth of pressure. When you use the quick disconnect, it blows the fittings out. And they also use stuff that's not going to rust, so stainless steel and brass parts. And then, they back it with a lifetime warranty, which is really nice. So the main things, I prefer a 3-gallon. Brass sprayer. The blue hose is the better option. The Flexzilla hose looks cool, but it's made for air. And you might not think that that really matters because it's a hose. It'll work, and then after about a year, like a year and a half of consistent use, it'll start to swell and do some funny stuff. Where the blue hose is actually made for water and fluids and stuff, so it's not going to do that. It's a similar type of hybrid hose. But there's reasons why they do what they do. I'm just wanting to try this cheap soap because of a smell change. Is that a California plate? Oh, no, that's our new Michigan plates. Water Winter Wonderland. They changed up the colors. Everybody's been buying them. They changed up the colors, and they look better. I like the Water Winter Wonderland. It's just the new ugly Michigan plate. I like it better than the other one, but I haven't wanted to buy one yet. Nice that we actually have a darker plate now. Oh, they just give them out now? Oh, I thought everybody was buying them. I was told they cost money. Thought it was like a good revenue earner for the state. How much to install carbon tint? So on this one, it's $350 for all the sides and the back glass. All right. So we are getting ready to do this. So one thing that I just completely glossed over was using dry shrink prep on the back. So to do that, I squeegee everything off the glass. I scrub it down, squeegee everything off of the glass. I put glass aid around the border. It's right along the edge of the dot matrix. Gives me a nice little border around the whole window. And then I spray the baggie, and then I wipe it on half of the glass, spray the baggie again, wipe it on the other half of the glass. So that way I don't have too thick of a layer of it. We only had that Fusion 2 weeks. That's the plate they gave me. Oh, okay. So they are just giving them out. It's a good looking plate. I was surprised with how many I saw on the road. So, like, I thought the rumor was, or at least somebody told me, that they cost money. And then so I started seeing them on everybody's car, and I thought everybody just liked the look of them, so they were buying them. Turns out they're just giving them away. Maybe they just added the price into the cost of a plate. Oh my God. Price to register vehicles too. What the heck? How much is it to register a vehicle in your state? When I went to go renew on the Altima, so the Altima's, somebody explain this to me because I've never even looked this up. So I registered the Altima, and that was like, I think $100-ish. And then I registered my Blazer, and that was like $220 to $250 to register it. What the hell is the difference? It's a percentage of the purchase price? Is it really? So the more you spend on the vehicle, the more you pay to drive on the roads. Ay. Ay, ay, ay. Why? I've only ever had to register like one vehicle at a time, so I've never really even thought about it. And then I had to do them back to back. And it was like I did them individually at one of those terminals. Did with one like 150 or something like that, like 120. I don't know. It was like $100-ish bucks. And I was like, okay, that's pretty normal. Whatever. Didn't even think about it. And then I do the Blazer, and it's like $250. I'm like, I just went back through the whole system. Like, did I do this wrong? That's crazy. It was like $360 for my F-150 that I just got rid of. Oh my God. That's every year. I'm not trying to be... I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to not be, but that's... I'm not trying to be a complainer, but holy shit. That's crazy. That's why when you sell cars secondhand, nobody ever wants to put down the exact purchase on the title because taxes and the registration. Yeah, that I can appreciate. Like, so taxes especially. Anytime you sell a vehicle, 6% sales tax. So I've done that a few times. I've bought a couple of vehicles off of Marketplace. The Altima that I bought for the class, that was off of Marketplace. And everybody knows that game. How much did it cost? $1. No, how much did it really cost? Oh, okay. $1,000. Like, everybody's just like, yeah, just leave that part blank. Just sign it. I'll write something on there. Like, yeah, I don't care, whatever. So that makes it tricky for, like, transferring it into somebody else's name and stuff, right? Oh, unless it's a friend or a family. I think that's something that I found out later. Oh my God, we're already shrinking. Okay, hang on. Somebody asked shrinking, and we're already going. Okay, so let's back up for half a second here. We just put film on the glass, and we definitely didn't just rough trim it. So what I'll do is I'll rough trim it, and what I mean by that is I'll cut it a couple inches wide from the bottom, but it depends on if it's running into this trunk here. So when it shifts up to a surface like this, you're trying to shrink up and over the surface. So you want to cut it just short of any obstructions. So in this case, like, I just did it really quickly, so I'm a little higher up than I could be. I could take this pretty close to the bottom. You just want to give yourself a little wiggle room down there. So my edge is right here. My cut is right about here. So I'm just rough cutting it to size. On the sides, you can slim them up more because you're not shrinking anything out on the sides. You're shrinking everything out the top and the bottom. So you need to divide it in half. So you take a felt card, where's my center point gonna be? So I look for like a center point, I kind of put my hand there, I let it float up off the glass, I pull my hand and kind of smooth that out ahead of time, so I get this nice straight line, then I tack it down to the glass. And that dry shrink prep, that holds it down in place, but also allows the film to kind of float until you're ready to tack it down. So when I tack that down, it's gonna stick there. If it doesn't seem like it's sticking, wet your hand, pick it back up, create a little wet line underneath the film, and then tack it back down to that wet line. So we got basically a 50-50 even split here. And the part I think most people get screwed up with is they don't, so as you're shrinking, that film is pulling together. So it's pulling from the sides. And what you need to do is you also need to kind of lock down just the very edge of the film. So what you need to lock down the edge of the film, or just not shrink over the edge, and just be really conscious what it's pulling from the side. So the easiest way to explain it when you're not sure what you're looking for is take the edges, take your card, and just lock down just the very edge of that film. Don't take like literally the 4 inches of the card and lock down that whole side. Just the edge. Same thing on this side. Just the edge. Then you're gonna move all the fingers up and down. So when we go to this side, it's all just lightly floated off the glass. Ignore where I shrunk it already. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna pick it up, we're gonna smooth it out, we're gonna divide it in half, and then we're gonna lightly tack down the sides, right? So what you really wanna always pay attention to is what your sides are doing. So as you shrink it and it starts to do this, it starts to basically tighten up. It's pulling from the side. So you just wanna make sure it's anchored down on the side, nice and flat. So when inevitably a finger reaches up into this area, it's not gonna pull the film off of the glass. So wherever I shrunk, I'm gonna sweep all this down up until this next area where I haven't shrunk yet, and then this is my next area to shrink. One thing that'll happen shortly after you get started is sometimes there'll be some film that bunches up on the side. Now I said tack this down, but you can always pick it back up, readjust your side, and tack it back down again. And sometimes the bulk of this film over here will change a little bit. So we'll take that heat gun, point it at a 45, wait for these fingers to do this little sideways action. I've said a bunch of different terms. Seems like the thing people understand the easiest is like you're turning these into little ocean waves, and then you're carting them out in the direction that if it was an ocean, they would go. So like this wave is kind of like this direction, right? So I'm gonna push it a little this way. These are kind of headed in this direction, so I'm just gonna push it along where it wants to go. So it looks like you might crease it, but what you're actually doing is you're stretching it and smoothing it out along the glass. All you're doing is reorganizing your film. Wherever you see that little ocean wave, just press it into where it's gonna bunch up into fingers, and that's gonna be the next section that you're shrinking. So when it comes to this little corner here, it's tapered. It tapers inward. We have to shrink up and down. So I still, whatever I do, I wanna make sure this is kind of pointed up and down in this direction. I don't wanna let it go sideways and then start shrinking it out in that direction. It needs to go in this direction. So if it starts popping up, it's not really locking down very well, you can hold it, or you can take some water, spray your hand, pick it back up, put a little wet line there, use it as an anchor, tack this back down, and then it'll hold it a little bit better. It's not gonna be perfect, but it'll hold it a little bit better there. Just if we're going slow and not sure what we're looking for. I'm just trying to keep everything going this way, so when I put a heat gun on it, it turns into little waves, and then I wait till those waves start to tighten up, get about there, and then I press them out in the direction that they would go. See this little swoopy? Press that out till it bunches up. I haven't shrunk here yet. And then it starts turning back into these little bunches. You stick to those little rules, you can shrink anything. And that's honestly, so if you look at the Facebook group, I posted a video. Somebody that had never touched film before, he was a glass tech for 18 years. So he is very familiar with working around cars, but he was not a tinter. By the end of the third day, we were doing ceramic on the windshield. Now, it was slow, and he's still going to make plenty of mistakes. But the main things that I've noticed is if you really focus on paying attention to those little principles there, you can learn how to shrink very quickly. Where people get lost is they let the film go off the side, or they end up shrinking it too tight and they just don't stick to those little rules there. So what we'll do is we'll shrink this area and then shrink it down at the bottom. And I don't want to go past, I'm go up to basically the halfway point to where you start to see these lines start to pull from up this direction. What that means is I'm not going to shrink this any farther down here. I'm going to start over here, and then this is all going to connect. So over here, again, angle 45 degree, this edge is locked down. Hit it with that heat, and that's when you see it start to tighten up, turn into little ocean waves. Just keep working that heat down. I mean, as far as is comfortable, you can do it a little bit, you can go farther. It's nice and controlled here, so we're gonna sweep those waves out. Anywhere that turns into a long finger, there's always gonna be more on the sides and edges, not as much to shrink in the center. So that back window, it bows. So most of your curve is gonna be in these areas right here. Sweep that out. Sweep all that out. There we go. That's all nice and shrunk. So when it comes to the top, remember at the beginning I talked about little obstructions? See that third brake light kind of popping out there? It'd be smart for me to just cut it short here and curve it back up. I can work around it, but for the sake of the demo, we'll do this. We'll cut around it, go up, go to the other side, we'll do the same thing. There we go, cut that off. Now, it's got room just to lay flat. As soon as you shrink it up to the edge, it's got room just to completely lay flat. It's not gonna run into any ridges. It'll be fine. There's a lot of back windows that just go from glass straight into the body. And as long as that's flat, like, you're not running into anything, so you're not gonna create any problems. Same thing for a lot of windshields, but some of them have little raised edges and stuff. So now on this side, I had left hand pointed downwards. On this other side, it just depends on what you're most comfortable with. So you can flip it. You just have to face it a 45-degree angle or a little higher, point it in the opposite direction. Don't just point it down here and start shrinking up this way, because you're kicking all that heat in this direction and you're only warming up the very edge. You heat up a little bit more by switching hands or pointing in the other direction and warming up this whole area up here. And then same thing, watch your sides, get that film to tighten up. And if you are going too fast with your heat, you feel like it's getting out of control, just back up with your heat. You leave the heat gun turned on all the way. Just keep going back and forth. just watch your side. And then you notice all these waves. The tighter these waves are, like the more they pinch together, the more shrunk your film is, and it'll get to the point where you'll really struggle to try and sweep these out, and that's where you're going to run into other problems. So as long as they look relatively like soft, or you don't have to, like when you push it up, it doesn't like shoot back down, then you'll be fine. It'll lay nice and smooth on the glass. And we'll go a little swoopy here. So pick this up, not relay this corner back down. Now it's a little vertical finger. And I'm just gonna iron out these waves until literally like now we're all the way up here, till they look like fingers again. So you notice at the end, I get a little closer to the heat gun. Out here, it was here, closer to the end, to keep the same like shrinking speed. It's not really about keeping the same speed, but you just need more heat to get the film to do the same thing. So with all the GeoShield lines, they're very consistent though throughout, where you don't have to put much more heat to get them to smooth down. But the film will shrink very quickly in the beginning, and then it gradually starts to slow down the more and more film that you get that you have to shrink. Like the farther you go, so after running all the classes, it's really helped me kind of figure out where people are having their initial problems, and now I can better explain kind of how to tackle it from the beginning. Watch your sides, and everything's gonna go a lot easier. Once you learn what to look for, you can make that go way faster. So a lot of people, they just point a heat gun at it, they wait for it to do a thing, and then they press it down and they crease it, and they don't understand what happened. You're always waiting for it to turn into little waves. I feel like it's the film they're using too. Yeah, so you'll hear people say some shrink easier than others. I've never seen a better example than jumping into the HSA Carbon by Lexan. That film is not super user-friendly. You have to put, when you, like the first quarter of it shrinks really fast, and then the second quarter of it, you have to put a lot more heat. And there's a lot of people, they go by, oh, I put this amount of heat, and then I cart it down, I don't quite know what I'm looking for. And then that's when they start screwing it up. So there's films that'll shrink a little faster, a little smoother, a little more consistent, but the same rules apply to all the films. Doesn't matter what you're using. You're gonna shrink them all the same way. You're just gonna change up how much heat you need to use and how much you need to like kind of finesse the film to get it to lay down. But, so using whatever would be the easiest film in the beginning to learn how to shrink with, yeah, it's a nice thing to have. It'll make learning how to shrink a little bit easier, but you're still, all the same concepts you're taking to every film. So no matter what film that I'm putting on this glass, except like crystalline, I'm gonna be shrinking that way. There you go. So after all that, I still have the glass 8 here. Personally, what I like to do is I like to remove it. And then I'll smooth down my edges flat against the window. You could just smooth them out with it there. So either way you want to do it, it's fine. But once you shrink it, then you cut out the exact pattern that you need to install. Some of your edges are just going to show little fingers. So you're just going to run a heat gun real close to the glass and just see if you can kick up any little fingers. That way, when you go to install it, you shouldn't have any little fingers popping up on the bottom or the top. You might have one or two, but it should be real minimal. The worst is getting a finger popping up on the bottom. But if it looks perfectly flat on the outside, it's gonna be perfectly flat on the inside of the glass. See, nothing's popping up here. That's fine. Let's check here. Little wiggle right here. Let me tighten that up. Little wiggle right there. Go back through my videos. I do that on every car. So now that's ready to install. So I guess let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll just finish the quarters, and then we'll be done. Toss those back there. Let's throw these out. Let's take a sip of coffee. How much does using plastic OFA on a door window help top edge crease if you get it? What do you mean by crease? I mean, it just helps cut a nice clean line and you don't get that gouge in it from the metal. What it really is because it's plastic, you can push it right up against the film so it holds the film in place. So I like that about the plastic knife holder. And then thin blade is just real good at keeping a consistent cut throughout. It doesn't snag. All right. So let's take these seats down. Oh, I'm falling. Help. Let's take the headrest out. Let's grab a towel, put that up here. And then one thing I like to check on the Fusions specifically. Oh, this one's actually good. Is it the turn dial? It is. So this is like the weirdest change, but I noticed it happened when they did the turn dial changes. There used to be like the old shifter, and then when they changed to the turn dial, the back window, oh shit, hang on, Canon. Okay, there we go. So for whatever reason, that deck lid got a little looser when they made that change. Has nothing to do with it, but it's just, they used to pinch right at the bottom or at the corners, and it was different from Fusion to Fusion. I've done so many Fusions, but when they did the turn dial, it was like, these ones are better. I hate the turn dial. Well, I don't live with the shifter. I think it, as far as, yeah, like having a turn dial, that's a weird thing. They've gotten worse though, so I'd say you're like in between. Oh my God, we could talk about shifters for a while. But that made the back window easier. Anyways, yeah, the turn dial one, that was a weird one. Like you would see, so that kind of I think comes from Jag. So when I would pull in a Jag, they had a fancier version. So the turn dial would come out of the center, it would raise up, and then you could twist it. That's kind of cool. But then you translate it over to a regular car, they're not going to put that money into it. So then they just give you a turn dial. I'm like, look, it's fancy now. I think the worst ones, God, there's two. So there's like the Chrysler springback ones. So you push the button and you push it forward, or you push the button and pull it back and then it springs back to the same position that it was at. I hated those. I think they had a lot of problems with those too. And a weird one now that I just don't know why they did it is you'll see this on a bunch of vehicles now. I think I first saw it on a Lincoln. What Lincoln would do is... Getting black stuff. What Lincoln would do is... God, what am I trying to say with them? The push buttons. So you have like... you have neutral, drive, and all the regular things, but they're all push button based, and they're all like up on the center console, and you go boop, boop, boop. It's really, really weird. I don't know why they did it that way either. But, oh well, it is what it is. You probably don't know, but you got me my first job at a tint shop. Oh, that's super cool. I didn't know that, but I do now. Congrats, man. Oh, I gotta get that side swiper thing. Joseph, did you come out for one of the classes? I think I recognize the name. All right, so squeegee this top to bottom. Wow. New Suburbans. Oh yeah, I remember. I think you left your notebook here, right? I've been using it. Thank you. That's super cool, man. New Suburbans and Tahoes have pull buttons and push buttons from park located in the same place as the Lincolns. Yeah, I don't know why they decided to do that. The push button shifters, I think, are like the weirdest ones out there. I think the F-150's got some major points with being able to fold down. I think that's just clever. Like, so they know truck people. They're like, yeah, truck people like their shifters. So we'll give them a regular shifter, but then we'll make it cool. So that was really nice to see. Hang on. There we go. All right, going in. YouTube alerted me too late. Strip it off and restart. Ah, shit. I guess we're doing it. We're going, starting again. I started with a rolling plotter. Now I'm hand cutting everything. That's right, you had a 24-inch Roland. No luck with software? Or it's just easier? But that's awesome, man. This back window ain't bad. What always drives me crazy about a back window is no space on the sides. This has space on the sides. So like real deep back windows that have deck lids that push up against the window, that makes it hard to squeegee out. So here I've got access to everything. And then I got a nice border around it too. So no excuses on this one. And then get it close to the bottom. And I'll use the side swiper. Remember you saying you don't do old school cars? I don't like doing them. It depends on the one. I've just never had a lot of business in that category, and so anytime I would get a request to do one, they weren't sure where to take it anyways to get it tinted, because I did like a lot of mobile work. So like every once in a while you have somebody that would come to like one of the auto accessory shops to get a tint job. They're like, oh, they did the speakers, they do window tint, I'll take it there. They generally weren't looking to spend much money on it, and it's significantly more difficult. So most people would say no, but every once in a while you get somebody to say yes, and it's just, yeah, it's a different animal. Your seals are just not even there, so we're all spoiled with these ceramic borders and stuff. On those ones you have urethane and no border. So it's goofy. Oh yeah, I got a little bit right there. So that's why I like this thing right here. So often for the bottom of the back window, there's a thickness to this tool, and with a lot of them, to where that plastic, like you need that fabric, or you need, not fabric, you need that plastic to basically be out of the way. So that's where this guy, the tail fin, comes in. It looks really silly, but it's very flexible, and it comes to a point. So whenever the way you use it is you put it right up against that back window, and it forms to it, and that point sticks really nice. Old school car owners never liked my price. I told them I can do 10 Hyundais instead of one classic Suburban. Yeah, and that's really what it comes down to. It's like you're generally miserable doing their car. It's just not as fun. You're often redoing patterns a handful of times to get like a pretty good result, and it's just a headache and a half. And then it's a classic car, so generally like they're all about cleaning it up, showing it off. And so when they clean the glass off and they see some speckles or something, or an edge is a little farther away, that's not great. So you have to put even more time into it. And those cars aren't being made anymore, and you don't get a lot of them. So you get like this one, or you get this one, like a Mustang or a Camaro. So it's like you're getting an assortment where a new car, if it's difficult, they're making them now. So a lot more people are going to own that car, and you're going to get a lot more inquiries around the same time. So it makes much more sense to learn newer, more difficult cars than it does to take on older, annoying cars that you're never going to see again. But, you know, there's just those people, those guys that like those types of challenges or have been tinting for a long time, and it's just like, yeah, they either came from that era or they really appreciate it. I always hate situations where I don't know what the outcome is going to be. Like, if I'm like, oh man, I hope I can tint this thing. Oh, I hate that. That drives me crazy. I at least want to feel like I'm going to be able to do a good job on it. So in most cases, that's the case. But on those classic ones, you just get some weird stuff going on. So I never want to feel like I give a half-assed result, even though I tried my damnedest. What tint do you have in your own personal car all the way around and the windshield? Right now, I'm trying, so it's always changing. Something that we would, like, so on the van, something we'd live with, Pro Nano, 50 on the windshield, and then 35 on the front doors. Right now, I'm just trying out some films. So I have 35 Carbon Plus on the windshield, or sorry, on the side doors, and then I have a test version of Apex in 50%. That's on my windshield right now. And the rest of it was left untinted because of the class. You know, when you run classes every month, it's hard to, and then you offer them up for the class, it's hard to tint anything. Because then you got to pick and choose. Like, oh, whatever I put on this, I then have to remove at the end of the month. And that's enough of a pain in the ass every month to go, I'm just going to leave it. Or I'll do this other film, or I'll test this out, or whatever. But yeah, Pro Nano 50 and 35 is the shades. So I'm really happy with where my lineup is at. If anything, I'll add Apex up to it. But I don't know. Oops. Come on. Where's the start? Oh yeah, it's in this top corner. Is there a fine line between shrinking a more aggressive area and burning it? I mean, yeah, you can always overheat something and burn it, but you'll definitely notice when it burns. In those areas, it's usually like a top corner. I'll pull it and try and flatten it out, and you just shrink the whole area and let it go, and then see if it flattened out some more, and then pull it again, shrink it a little bit more, and just keep doing that. Does Carbon Plus had issues? Well, both of the lighter shades in those series were like curling off of the windshields when you first installed them. And it's like, this is a really weird problem because it's got the same adhesive system as the Carbon that we're installing right now, but I've never had that. Never had that with the Carbon. As soon as I was doing the Apex or the Carbon Plus on the windshield, it would look all fine. 5 minutes later, you'd see it start curling off of the glass, whether or not it had a dot matrix border or not. Like, I don't understand it. So, bad batch? No, they've made several batches, and I've tried several different iterations of it, and they all do the same thing. some people say that they love it and they have no problems with it. And then I look at what I'm doing and I'm like, okay, I use the same stuff. I try and baby it, and I'm having problems, so what am I doing wrong? I don't know. So as for the doors, no problems. I haven't really given it a fair shot on the back window, which should have the same problems as the windshield, though. So I don't know. But what I do know is Pro Nano blocks more than the Carbon Plus. So the Carbon Plus is still a great film. It just doesn't stack up quite as high. So the way I see it is Pro Classic, C2, or Pro Classic, C2, Pro Nano, and then if I'm going to add anything, it's going to be Apex on top of it. That's enough to stay away from for now. Yeah, like they'll send me. Ooh, well, we just took all our blades out. They'll send me different iterations to try out and see if it's any better, and I'll try them. But until I'm really confident, and there's no issues with it peeling off after the fact. So when it is locked, when it's in place, it's fine. It's that initial 15, 30 minutes, making sure everything's set up in place, and if it holds, then you're good. If it doesn't, well, then you're sitting there and basically trying to blow air, not heat it up anymore, because if you heat it up more, it'll start to curl even faster. So I should bring a hairdryer in, but I was using the Fusion heat gun because it's got a setting where you can just blow lots of air. And I was doing that and drying them out, and I can get them to lock down, and they look nice and neat, but it was just those edges. Sucks. Peely peely. So it's weird. So the next iteration they have, they added so they're being really careful with it too. They're like, we're trying to figure out how to improve it so people don't have that issue. And that's where they started digging deep into soaps and stuff. And their gut is like, it's probably the soaps people are using. And I think it might be, I think it's something else, because I've used just Fusion All-Type. I've used way less soap. I've tried doing some changes. There's nothing on my end that I seem to be able to do that makes it work without having that issue. So I don't know what the heck. I'm real frustrated with it. But when they're on, like, they both look great. They both work great. Can you clean your lens, please? Sure. There. Probably got a little spray. I saw you use the Fusion heat gun. Do you like that on glass that has more bite in the corners? I just don't like it that much. I just seem to blow more air. So for the situation that I was in, it worked out really well. I usually don't have a back glass that's like a Corvette. So I just go back to either using the Wagner's or like the Porter cable. I think it's just a different thing to get used to. So I really like just focusing the heat in an area, and I can keep it moving. I've seen, like, the way some people like to use the Fusion heat gun is it blows tons of air, and you can basically get right up against the glass and just, like, shrink it down real quick with it. I just do the same thing with the Wagner. I just pull it back farther. So Rick was a big fan of the heat gun, so he would use that He actually used a torch, and then he came back and started using the fusion heat gun instead. And I don't know why he kind of dipped back from using the torch in favor of that, but he got into torches for a while. Alrighty, so now we got touch-ups. We'll clean this up, and everything will be good to go. It's dark. Very nice. Uh-oh. Tangle. There we go. Sweet. That is dark. Looks good. Very nice. A dual cordless? Oh yeah. So any of the battery heat guns, yeah, they don't have enough power. I talked to somebody that did vinyl, and he liked it for that, but he's only using it for like small spots, and it's really easy for him to move around the car. I've tried a lot of different heat guns. The best heat guns are the ones that plug into the wall, and then all the extra little features, you don't need them, because they have like cool down cycles, temperature control. We just need heat guns to get really hot and blow as much air as they can. So we just turn them all up on high. So the basic Wagner is great for that. Most of them are only going to pull about 12 to 1500 watts out of the wall. They got to do that because if they go any harder, they're going to start blowing breakers. So they can only pull so much power, but it's way more power than a battery can deliver, at least at that size. So this was like an interesting option. This is just a big cluster mess. This has too many problems. So you've got a battery that powers the fan, and then you've got it's butane. And then I thought I was like, oh, it's gonna do a decent amount of heat here, and it's gonna use the electricity to blow it. So this might be like a portable torch. No, this thing just, it's like a lighter. It doesn't hardly do anything. It's pretty garbage, unfortunately. But so if you want a portable heat gun, it's this. You're gonna use either propane or MAP gas. MAP gas gets a little hotter. And then the T8000 end. It actually blows like a surprising amount of air from just the gas leaving it and burning, and you can shrink stuff very quickly for that. So that's your portable heat gun right there. Other than that, you're getting something that plugs into a wall. Wagner seems the way. Cheap and effective. Yeah. Yeah, so when you pick this up and compare it to like a more expensive heat gun, this starts to feel really cheesy, but it actually gets stupid hot, and it's fairly well made. So it puts out a good amount of heat, and it doesn't blow quite as much air as so the Porter cable or the Craftsman one, they're identical. Thought there was a difference, there's not. So that would be like these guys right here. So these, the Craftsman, the Porter cable, these are both identical heat guns. They're a little bit more weighty. They get just as hot as the Wagner, but they blow a little bit more air. So some people like that difference there. My shrink times were identical though, from like one half of the car to the other half. I did a comparison, exact same times. So exact same time and a little bit less expensive, and I can find it in more stores. I'll just get the Wagner. Do you ever get the really expensive one? Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Fusion one. Yep. I didn't like it anymore. I liked it worse. Some people really like it though. It's just if you shrink like I do, you're probably not going to like it. The only other direction that I'm really interested in going is picking up the really expensive Steinel heat gun. That one's like $400. And I wouldn't really know until I tried it. So I'll pick one up one of these days. I just haven't got one yet. I'm way more inclined to spend $400 on it. Actually, it's like $3, but like in that range. I'm way more inclined to spend like $300 on a keg that basically is indestructible versus $400 on a heat gun that I know eventually is going to burn itself out. And when it comes to like shrinking a window, I don't know if it really is going to make much of a difference to have that type of a heat difference. Like, it's not going to necessarily put out much more heat, but it is going to perhaps work a little bit better. I don't know. Like a little bit better, a little more consistent. So I'm not exactly sure. All right. Wagner is all I use. Yeah, same here. Alrighty. Let me get these last things out. Oh, there's a blade. Sick. Oops. Look at that. That is dark. And that's it. Look at that. It looks turned out really, really nice. So we're just 5 all the way around. in the carbon. What a difference, huh? It's cool. All right, let me put that there. Cannon. Oh, cannon. Woo! Look at that. Look at that falling off. I don't know what it is. Ever since I moved to this bigger battery, it always likes to like slump over. I'll try tightening it up again. Sometimes it goes so hard that it's just like, ow, my head. Good stuff. I got a haircut too. Let's fix that up. Alrighty. So we're going to shout out some supers. That was a good day. Everything went very well on this one. Where's that? There it is. Was that about 3 hours? Yeah, not far off. Still early. Bring the next one. My my holiday weekend is definitely like slow. So I had like a few people that wanted to schedule, but they all were doing stuff this weekend. So I don't have anything else for today. This is it. Great work. I always get the car back cleaner than it came. Nice. Very nice. And thank you. All right, so we'll shout out some supers. Big thanks to Tint, Daniel Reyna, and Burner. Oh, shoot.
Joseph Sito super chatted $4.99. Some tips for
how
the
to
back
time 'em.
windshield on a Q5.
All right, let's look at it. Ooh, you get that spoiler in the way. Honestly, the easiest thing is going to be trying to plotter cut it. That'll take care of all your cuts. If you're hand cutting it, that one's going to be kind of tricky. That's one of the worst spoilers that I've seen. So there's a couple of hacks to it, to doing something like this. Let's see. Can you guys see it okay? Yeah. All right, good. So this is all accessible. You can cut this out, no problem. I can see the matrix line. When it comes to up here, though, you're basically trying to roll the film in and cut it up against the spoiler. It would honestly be smarter just to try and take a liner off of another back window, shove that up there, tack it down, and use a Sharpie and literally draw your lines, put that on a glass board, and cut it out. Because that's going to be the hardest part of that whole thing, is just getting it cut out. That one's not going to be fun, though. Otherwise, like I said, you're trying to roll the film up there, and you're just trying to cut it, you're probably going to have some hiccups with it. I'd say just plotter cut it or try and trace a pattern in that instance. It's going to make it far easier to do. Another way, potentially, is to cut all these sides and then leave the top a little long, put it on the inside, and then cut that edge on the inside of the glass when it's up. It's not that bad for the 2020. Mm-hmm. So what did I look at? Oh, something like this. This one's, that one's similar. Same thing. I mean, this goes like, View gallery. Yeah, this is not as bad. This is more in line with what I'm thinking. The other one just popped up first, so that's what I thought we had to do. This one, same thing. You can see your edge. So this is all easy to get to, and same thing. Like, look at any of the hatch videos that I've done. So that's like VW or like a focus hatch or an edge, or go through any of the live streams. What I typically do is I'll roll, put the tint over the whole thing. I'll kind of roll it up into that spoiler area, cut a little notch right at the end, like in the middle, butt it up against that spoiler, cut a little notch, pull it back out, create a relief cut straight down, and then I'll stick it back up in there, start in the middle, cut one way, and start in the middle and cut the other way. And it'll match everything up right along that spoiler line, which is usually a little over where the glass is. It just depends on where that spoiler meets up to that edge, and that's always something that you can't see until you see it in person. Because even this, I hate Google Images for car pictures. They're the worst. They're like always scattered on numbers. They're always like front angles, and like, I want, show me the back, show me the windows. This one's better. But Google Images is miserable for finding, oh, and this is all blurry too. Ew. But yeah, that's how you're gonna tackle it. That's what I do, the same thing for like any hatch back window though. But thank you for the 5. When dealing with this spoiler, I trace the defroster and it usually tucks nicely under. Oh, that's a cool way to do it too, yeah. I think I did that. I would do that on like the focus hatches. I forgot about that. So what he's saying is you're cutting directly on like a center portion of the glass. And if they're already factory tinted, they're gonna be a little bit harder to see. So brighten them up with a light. But it makes a good point. You'll have defroster lines that run straight along it, and they usually will be the same curve as what's going up there. So if you trace that here and butt it up there, it should match. That's another good way of tackling the same thing. Appreciate that one. I used to do that on like the focus hatches actually. Alrighty, my dudes. Well, I appreciate you hanging out today. It's good to see you. I'm gonna make sure this one's all touched up, and I'm gonna call it a day today. Had a problem on a Grand Cherokee. Had an aftermarket spoiler. Oh. I don't. Yeah, some people go a little crazy with the aftermarket spoilers. I've definitely seen them on certain cars where it'll just be like a big rubber piece that sticks over like the whole glass. That's goofy. Some of them are real goofy. So. Yeah, you're honestly, I'd drop it in your Roland. When you get the hatch back windows, you should be able to fit most of those on a 24-inch roll. So you'd actually be able to tackle some of those that way. Just check, see if it'll fit. Try that. What's the ratio you do for biz? 70-30? What do you mean? Like money? I just make money and then I have bills. That's how that goes. Alrighty, guys. I ordered 24 and 35 off Geo. Nice, very cool. Next, you'll show us the Civic hatch. The Civic hatch, I actually bought the glass. Unfortunately, it fell off the wall and shattered, but I'd do the same thing. I would buy another one. Civic hatch, you're either taking the spoiler apart or just buy the glass and have it sitting on the side, and it's a great way to tackle those. Alrighty, my dudes. I will see you later. Thank you for hanging out. Hope you had fun. Bye.